about comics. Let's talk about comics. Let's talk about comics. Let's talk about comics. Harambe YouTube, is Charles here. This is video number 3 of my Jennifer Bloodlines retrospective review. This is a series from 2021 from Dynamite Comics, and you can find it in trade paperback as Jennifer Bloodlines. This chapter here is called Playdate, and it takes a shocking and heartbreaking turn in this book. It really captures the emotion of what's going on and how big a threat the people that she is fighting, that she's taking out as a vigilante are. These are residents of the town of Bountiful that you find out in the first couple issues. Is a city in Utah that is completely populated and ran by criminals who have been relocated by the government. And long story short, as long as they keep quiet, keep their heads down, don't make too much noise, they can do whatever they desire in Bountiful. They got to keep the right people paid off and got to stay off the radar of the federal government. And in this, she is finished tracking down and killing the men that killed her family, but an assassin who is the new sheriff of Bountiful has made it personal, hunting down Jennifer Blood. And so she has put things in motion to maintain Jennifer Blood's attention on Bountiful, because it has gone from just a job for Julia Romeo, the assassin who is now the sheriff, to something more personal, like a challenge between her and this mystery woman, Jennifer Blood. And we start off here with a U-Haul, and they did a very, very subtle, I guess, breadcrumbing of what was going to be happening, because in one panel in the last issue, when they were at the fireworks festival, one of the mobsters mentions a competition, and they should be betting on the East Coast family, because they're going to be the ones winning this year's hunt. Hunt for what? What's going on? These are all horrible criminals. So you have to imagine something nefarious, and it is. This desert, rural setting. And I mean, one thing I notice is I am in Wyoming, which is the same environment, the same type of land as Utah. And when you look here at the sparseness, at the background, it is very much true to this region of America. So like that the authors did that. I don't know what a lot of people think about Wyoming, but it is essentially a desert for about a quarter of the year. And it gets cold and snowy the rest of it. But here we meet this Coyote character, this human smuggler, and he brings a whole lot of immigrants out of the U-Haul, shows them a picture of a tote, and he tells them that it has keys to a new truck and $100,000 so that they could find their American dream. And whoever finds it first gets the money, and they get to drive out in the new vehicle. And then he goes for guns, and you find out that this is a sick and twisted game put on by the upper echelon of the criminals of Bountiful, Utah, where they take human trafficking victims and they hunt them down for sport. And yeah, very heavy stuff. Just the simplicity of it really brings the gravity of the situation. And here is where we meet Jennifer Blood, and she has snuck herself in the midst of these human trafficking victims. And so as they're set loose to run around and try to escape, she comes out of the bunch, ends up killing the guy who has organized this hunt, and then we see the other people trying to organize their teams. And at one point, one of the mobsters are talking, about loose ends, and he's like, "Well, what are we gonna do about a person that finds the trunk and the money?" And the main organizer says that he explains. Let's see, where can I find it here? Right here in this panel, he says there ain't no trunk. You dope. We just tell them that to get them to move. Big numbers out of it. In past hunts, we discovered that many targets, once they understood the hopelessness of the situation, simply gave up. Psychologists call this learned helplessness. Ergo, some incentive, some illusion of hope is required to maintain the desired level of sport. And so you see that these guys are sick and twisted, and you really look forward to them receiving Jennifer Blood's unique brand of vigilante justice. And boy, did they get it, but not before ending a lot of lives of innocent people just trying to make a better life. And the twist comes when one of the women, they find the trunk. And she actually gets to it and she opens it up here. But when she gets to it and opens it up, she finds on a lid the initials JB. And while there are not money and keys in the trunk, there is a shotgun. And what Jennifer Blood has done is she has cleverly placed a lot of these totes on the quote-unquote playing field filled with weapons. And so the migrants get to fight back and actually get to take control of their destiny, which I like. And Jennifer Blood uses this chaos to surreptitiously take out these men on the hunt, as well as the immigrants are fighting back. And so I find that to be, a real empowering way of doing this. It's not the typical savior story. Uh, she gives the people the opportunity to fight back for themselves in this horrible situation. And during this back and forth in a firefight, two of the mob bosses shoot each other because they believe that the other one set this up. Because Jennifer Blood, she works in the shadows, and so she sows confusion and doubt and thrives in that environment. But in the midst of all this, she happens to get Julia injured one-on-one. She is hit by a couple of shots, I think, in her leg and her abdomen, and she is injured but not dead. And they have a back and forth, and Julia, the assassin, she is begging for death. But Jennifer Blood, as let's see, she says, I could win that game so long as I play by the rules, but I try my best, etc. It's you and your mob buddies who taught me that all that American dream stuff is horse shit. A cheap sales pitch for suckers like old knife in the face over there and his immigrant friends, referring to a dead body. Instead, they come here and just find another casino where the house always wins and where every contest got rigged by the Wells before they even sat down at the table. And so she's explaining to Julia why she does what she does, and she intentionally leaves her alive. In an essence of playing along in Julia's game. I don't know. Even after reading this, I don't know if she's kept alive because she sees some hope in Julia, or she wants to use her to continue that confusion and chaos in Bountiful so she can continue doing what she does. Later, there would be a one-shot featuring Julia Romero. And so, from the publisher's point of view, I very much see why she was kept alive. They do this with a lot of these characters that you meet. The Ninjets, for instance, they were characters who were introduced in one of the earlier Jennifer Blood stories, and their arc lasted one issue. They were hired to go after Jennifer Blood. They were murdered by Jennifer Blood. But then the writers were like, oh, this issue sold well. I like these Ninjettes characters. And so they wrote kind of a prequel to their appearance in Jennifer Blood. And then when they wanted to revisit that series again, a series which I read and enjoyed, instead of having the Ninjettes be three rich girls who just happened to stumble into the life of being assassins, they turned it into a government adjacent program to train teenage assassins. And so I think what they've done by leaving her alive is being able to revisit logically that character, which they did in a one shot that happened right off the back of the Bloodlines series. So that's been number 3. Like I said before, you can find it collected in trade paperback as Jennifer Bloodlines. This is in volume 1. So stay tuned for number 4, and I'll see you guys next time. Until then, keep reading them books. I'm out.